and for the entire month of May, we didn't get a drop of rain, and it's just been so hot. But it's Monday, my favorite day of the week. I'm headed to the gym, get a quick workout in, and get the day started right.
I can't get motivated. The swimming thoughts are drowning in my head. And if by some coincidence I do just what they said, then the morning blue is warning you. The avalanche is storming through in the dawn of the morning blue. Just take.
Last week, I did a story on WJBK anchor Sherry Margolis, who anchors the news in Detroit and has been doing so for 35 plus years.
The Dearborn Animal Shelter is overcrowded with dogs, so it is actually running a deal on adoptions.
And I want to talk about that because I wrote in the story about how she had some impact on me getting into TV news, and therefore she had some impact on the start of FTVLive.com. You know, when you're young and you have like a TV crush, whether it was Marsha Brady or Rachel from Friends or whatever. When I was in high school, my TV crush was an anchor at WKBW in Buffalo, New York. And her name was, you guessed it, Sherry Margolis. Sherry Margolis anchored the news in Buffalo, and I'll tell you what, all of me and my friends, we all like, Sherry Margolis was the it girl. We love Sherry Margolis. Between high school and college, I had really gotten into still photography and was thinking about becoming a journalist. And one of my big thoughts was maybe, going to work for a newspaper. Thank God I didn't go that direction. Up the street from my house was a department store, kind of like a Walmart or a Target or whatever, but it was a local one. It was called Twin Fair. And Twin Fair caught on fire. And when I say caught on fire, it decimated the entire store. It never opened again after the fire. It was right up the street from my house. So I got on my bike and I rode up to Twin Fair and I started taking still photographs and everything else. And as I worked my way around the store, there she was. Sherry Margolis was sitting there going live. And I was just smitten beyond belief. So I'm hanging around kind of watching the crews and everything else. And I got a chance to actually talk to Sherry Margolis, which was amazing that I didn't stammer and stutter. She could not be a nicer person. At one point, I mentioned to her that, journalism was something that I was interested in. And she said, oh, you should try and get an internship at the station. And she goes, I'll put in a good word. The person you want to call is the executive producer, a guy named Jim Swinehart. The news director was a guy named Steve Ridge. Yes, the same Steve Ridge from Maggot. So I don't know if Sherry put in a good word for me or not, but I called Jim Swinehart. I ended up getting an internship at WKBW in Buffalo, the station that I grew up watching. It had Irv Weinstein, Rick Azar, and Tom Joles. It was, at one point in time, it was the #1 rated TV station in the entire country. It was the blowtorch of Buffalo. While many interns at the station gravitate towards the anchors and stuff like that, I was more hanging out with the photographers. This is something I wanted to do, and I got to go out on stories and got to know Sherry Margolis a little bit better, and it was great. It was, it led to me, working in TV. So at one point, I decided news photography is what I wanted to do. And I took out a loan at a bank because I didn't have enough money to buy a camera and a deck and lights and everything else. And I started stringing for WKBW. I would shoot stories in, I could only shoot stories because of the union. I could only shoot stories in Niagara County. I couldn't shoot anything in Erie County. But I was able to shoot enough fires, car accidents, shootings, whatever it was. I could shoot enough of them. I was getting paid $35 a story. And there were weeks where I was making, a few $100s, which back then was, pretty good money. And the assignment editor at WKBW that would sometimes call me to go to these stories, or I would call when I had a story and told him I was going to it, was Mark Casey. Yes, the same Mark Casey that is in Phoenix right now. And he was one hell of an assignment editor. He was really good. I remember years later, I walked up to Jim Swinehart. I think he was news director in Knoxville, and we were at an RTNDA convention. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Jim, Scott Jones, I interned, for you at WKW in Buffalo. Had absolutely no clue who I was." And he said, "Oh, so what do you do now?" And I said, "I'm the news director in Sacramento." And he kind of looked at me like, "What the?" It ended up kind of being awkward. But I got to work with Sherry Margolis, as an intern, carrying the tripod, doing this, grabbing cables, whatever it had to be. And, she really was so nice and would help me along, and, very encouraging, and just a really, really nice person. So after Buffalo, I landed a photographer job at KTUL in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Sherry Margolis went off to Detroit, where she has been ever since. So I was pretty sure that Sherry never remembered who I was, but you always hope, since she was your, quote, first TV crush, that she would. And I wrote that story last week saying, I doubt she has any clue who I am. And she emailed me, and it was a bit deflating. She says, "I'm thrilled to know that I helped you get into TV news. You're right, I can't recall how it happened, but I'm certainly glad that it did." And she goes, "How and when did it happen?" So I'm telling this story now for Sherry and for the rest of you how it happened. But I was deeply, deeply disappointed when I got this email, because I was like, man, you kind of hope she'd even remember you remotely. She has no clue. But it was because of Sherry and how nice she was and how accommodating she was that I got into TV news. I mean, she wasn't the only factor, but she was a big part of it, and a big part of, me wanting to pursue this profession. And, now she's kind of part of why FTVLive is here. So, you know what? Don't blame me, blame her. But Sherry, you couldn't have been a nicer person. I appreciate it. Even though you have no clue who I am and didn't remember me or anything, I'm not going to hold it against you. And I'm still hoping that Jennifer Aniston remembers that one time that she and I met. And I don't know, I'm holding out for that. Anyway, that's going to wrap up episode number 4. Can't believe we're already up to number 4. As always, if you would open up the YouTube down there at the bottom, because you're probably watching this on FTVLive, but if you go way down there in the bottom, click on where it says YouTube, open it up, subscribe to me, and hit that thumbs up button, because I still don't know why, but YouTubers beg for that. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up button. I think it gives the algorithm with YouTube, it gets some more plays or something like that. Anyway, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you hit the little bell next to it. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks to Sherry Margolis for getting me in this business. And you've probably made a lot of enemies today, Sherry. Sorry. Bye.